Rob Dawson here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fink.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Children.
DJ Khaled, you not a big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Pastner.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
Drink responsibly tonight. I'll be drinking with you.
Jarrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
It is Field of 68 After Dark on this Monday night, November the 27th, 2023. I'm John Fanta. Terrence Oglesby is with us to give us the player's perspective tonight. Chris Mack is with us to give us the coach's perspective this evening. We have a huge show for you. We're going to talk through national championship contenders, Final Four contenders, or a team that you think could get upset. It's early, but that's what we're jumping into this evening. We'll also play a Cyber Monday game in a few moments. But gentlemen, I want to kick off the show by saying this. It's a huge week. You both know about the ACC SEC Challenge. We've got Arkansas and Duke. We've got Tennessee and North Carolina and Chapel Hill. You kidding me? Tomorrow night, the Miami Hurricanes and Kentucky face off in Lexington. There might be some points in that game. Terrence Oglesby, in the ACC SEC Challenge, which game are you looking forward to the most?
Come on, easy. Well, that's a two-parter for me. One, I'm excited to see what Clemson can do at Alabama because it's conflicting styles, and Brad can coach defense, and he's going up against arguably the best offense in the country with Alabama and what all they're able to do with their pace. So I'm looking forward to that one. Miami against Kentucky, though, also really intriguing. Why? I mean, young guards, experienced guys for Miami. That's going to be a lot of points scored, as you mentioned. And I'm happy to be here with you, John. Why is that? We hit our bald guy quota. That's important. We don't do that enough on the Field of 68. So we need that.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Chris Mack's got a little left.
He's got more than me.
Yeah, very little.
You do your own hair?
I do. Save a lot of money there, Fanta.
Well, you need to. Although you worked some overtime last week for this network, and checks in the mail somewhere, somehow after you were on at 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, ACC SEC Challenge. There's some marquee games. Which game are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I hate being repetitive, but Miami UK is such an intriguing matchup. I mean, you're talking about like the youth and athleticism of Kentucky playing a home game. You know, the Rupp Arena is going to be rocking. And then, you've got the veteran type team in Miami, a team that I don't think will ever get awed by the moment. You know, Nigel Pack, veteran guard, he's seen it all. I just feel like this is going to be a big test for Miami because Kentucky showed who they are against Kansas. I know they didn't win the game, but it wasn't nip and tuck. They were up 15 or 17 points deep in the second half. And it's, as you know, freshmen, they just keep getting better and better. And I just think this is going to be a huge challenge for both teams. Miami, can they fend off the talent that Kentucky has? And Kentucky, can they sort of fend off the experience that Miami has? That to me is the best matchup of all of them. I'm also there right with Terrence when it comes to the Clemson-Alabama game because you've got two wildly different styles. You know, Alabama's giving up about 100 points a game and scoring 120 points a game. And then you got Clemson, who's not going to let you play that way. They're going to guard. They're going to value every possession. And so it's going to be interesting to see sort of who wins that battle. It's always harder to control the tempo when you're a faster team playing a slower team, in my opinion. But those two matchups to me are going to be the most intriguing.
One more, John, too. Ole Miss at NC State. I mean, Beard, people aren't talking about it. Beard's 5-0 down there in Oxford. And they haven't played many teams, right. But they go in to Raleigh. It's a tough environment. Coach, you know that. I always thought that Louisville and NC State, that was unique environments. I thought that those two were awesome. And then, to see if that team can kind of carry it over. I'm a big Matthew Morrell guy. And I think he's a really good player for Chris Beard, kind of a perfect fit. They got Brakefield to transfer from Duke. There's some dudes on that team. Are they going to be able to put it together against the team that made the tournament last year?
Yeah, that's an interesting game. And Casey Morsell, the senior guard for the Wolfpack, coming off of a 28-point performance. Although it was a loss to a very good BYU team, and that's the only blemish on Kevin Keats' team schedule thus far. They beat Vanderbilt, but big game. And like you said, that's a really fascinating matchup. It's a measuring stick game for those two teams. You know, it gives you a vibe of like an 8-9 game sometimes that you'll sometimes see in the first round. We'll see who comes out on top of that one. ACC SEC Challenge gets going tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on and what Kentucky needs to do against Miami. Want to get into that with you guys a little bit later on in the show. But it is Cyber Monday. Happy Cyber Monday, everybody. So we hope you're getting some good deals. And we thought we'd have some fun. Which teams are you buying? Which teams are you selling on Cyber Monday? So earlier today, I pitched it to you guys. The fancy team, the good team, and the used product team. So here's how this game works. The fancy team is top of the line. All right? It's Taj Mahal. It's your top of the line type of product. You go in and you want the best for your significant other. The good is what you might be buying for family, extended family. It's a good gift. It's a good team. It's a team that you like. Maybe you don't love, but you like them right now. The used product is the bargain. Well, you get it for a friend who's been okay this year. You get it for the brother-in-law who can sometimes be an asshole. That's what I'm talking about here for gifts. I don't have a brother-in-law who's an asshole. My brother-in-law is actually a really nice guy. But
it's the shitty bottle of wine that you re-gift. That you're like, it might be good. Is that what we're saying here? Okay.
Absolutely. I've got – this is going to be given out to my family in a couple of weeks. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Okay. And here it is. Here's another look at it. There you go, folks. There you go. All right. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Okay, so Mac, that's coming to your house. So Chris Mack, give me your list of gifts here. Fancy, good, and ones that maybe might be a used product.
Well, I feel like I'm eating crow from the last time I was on the program, Fanta. My fancy team is going to be the Purdue Boilermakers. I'm going to apologize to Boilermaker Nation. And I only say this because when they played Marquette, I felt like the game could go either way, and you obviously put us on the spot and make us pick a team. But I tell you, I was really, really impressed with Purdue's showing in the Maui Classic. I mean, I just felt like the way they played night in, night out, the challenges that they faced, the fact that they can do it when Zach goes to the bench with foul trouble because he's such a unique player. He's so big. He demands so much attention. If you don't double team him, he's going to get a shot within 1 or 2 feet of the basket. And he can miss them every once in a while, but he's going to get fouled. He's going to put so many fouls on the opposing big men. I just think that, like, Purdue is playing with a chip on its shoulder, much like Virginia did a few years ago. Everybody talks about being bounced out of the tournament by Fairleigh Dickinson in round 1 and the second 16 seed to upset a number 1 seed. They're going to have to live with that all year long, but I think Purdue's going to play pissed off. I don't think there's anybody in the Big Ten that's even close to them in terms of talent. And so I think Purdue would be the team that is my fancy team, a team that I think you can really stand on and feel good about.
It's better to be pissed off than pissed on. That's what I've been told. Better to be pissed off than pissed on. That's a good thing. No, I was going to pick Purdue, but for the sake of mixing it up a little bit, I'm a big buyer in Marquette, and I know that they lost to Purdue in that finals game, but the fact that they were able to keep up with Zach Edey despite being significantly smaller was massive. And they have so many different scoring options, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. When it comes to Tyler Kolek, he's great. He's a first-team All-American, this, that, and the third. Cam Jones, he's great. He can really score in bunches. The guy that's arguably their best player in my mind is Oso Ighodaro. And his ability to defend some bigger players using his quick feet, his athleticism, he can get around in front really quick. And on top of that, Marquette never has to call a play. They will towards the end, towards some timeout situations and things like that, towards halftime and at the end of the game. They'll call a timeout occasionally. But it's so difficult to defend a motion-based team that just clicks into spots. And they click into spots because of Oso Ighodaro. As soon as things stall, he races right up to the top of the key or the elbow, and then they're into their, I don't know what the correct term is, but either their zoom or their, we call it guard over action, where they throw it to the top of the key, Kolek runs over the top, and then you have Kolek and Jones on one side, and they're playing a three-man game right there. It's tough to defend, and the fact that there's never the same thing running twice in a row, you have to be so incredibly disciplined for the duration of the shot clock, and I don't see it getting worse because there's been a different guy step up for that team seemingly every night. Marquette is as good as advertised. I was lucky enough to be there in person a couple of times for their opening two games. They are that good. They're no secret, and they can score against anybody, and I like that they can mix up pressures and attack you in different ways. That's going to benefit when you're playing some of these lower-level teams in the NCAA tournament. This is a Marquette team that can make a Final Four and maybe even win a national championship.
They're that good.
They are that good.
The team that I'm buying as a fancy team because I still think they can win the national championship, but I think a lot of people wrote them off, the casual. You two are not. But the casual might have written them off when they lost at home in the first week of the season. I'm buying the Duke Blue Devils. Yeah, I will still buy that shiny toy. I'm not out on them because they had a tough night at home against Arizona. You played the first big home game of the year. Guess who the pressure was on? You. It was all on you. And you lost. You lost. You got your butt kicked. You got out-toughed. You got beat. But, guys, I'm buying Duke. I'm buying this team to get to Arizona, to get to the Final Four. I think that Kyle Filipowski is tough, is hard-nosed, makes winning plays. I think that backcourt is like a shiny new toy. Because Tyrese Proctor and Jeremy Roach and Caleb Foster, who stepped up in the win over Michigan State, they've got options. And I didn't even mention Jared McCain, who I still think, as he continues to figure it out, will get better and better and better. And John Shire, he doesn't promise anything to anybody. None of these freshmen have anything promised to them. Ryan Young's a veteran for this team. Mark Mitchell's only gotten better, and they defend. This Duke team defends. They are going to go into Fayetteville, and they're going to have a tough game. Okay? They're going to have a tough game. But I still believe, big picture, that if you're taking me into the store and I'm going down aisle one, there's a reason why. There's a reason why we had Duke right at the top of the country heading into the season with Kansas. You're eventually going to see that reason why. So I'm buying Duke. If there's any discount on Cyber Monday for the Blue Devils, I'm pulling out the black card and putting everything I've got into them because I believe in them. I still have faith in them. What do you think, T.O.? Is that a good
you have a black hold on. You have a black card, first of all.
You have a black card?
Big time flex right there. Big time flex. What's the big he's paying you?
Okay, no, I don't.
I
don't have a black
I didn't know
card.
people from Cleveland got black cards. What the hell's going on?
Yeah,
I had to pause that one too. I was like, man, just raking in the dough. Got the black card.
I would borrow Goodman's, okay? And, if there's and I would use it to buy Duke, okay? Or maybe I'd steal it, but I would. Is that a smart purchase by me, T.O.? Yes or no?
I'm not mad at it. The only thing I worry about with Duke a little bit is the rim protection. I thought Derek Lively for them defensively last year was so incredibly important. That's my biggest worry with them, especially for a team that likes to get up in the passing lanes a little bit. You got to have that rim protector behind you. I think they thought Sean Stewart was going to be that guy, but 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", and really bouncy. He's not the same as 7'1" and really bouncy. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. But they could win a national championship because there's a lot of weapons there.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I hear you, John. I'm not as high on Duke as you are. I agree with T.O. when it comes to the rim protection. I think Filipowski can get in foul trouble, and I don't feel like they have necessarily the interior that they had a year ago. Their guards are young. They're talented. They're going to get better and better. But I thought after the Arizona game, they'd really bounce back hard against Michigan State. And I saw an ugly game. And, again, they got a lot of season to play, but that's just what I saw early on.
All right, that's part one of our Cyber Monday game. Coming up, we've got Liberty head coach Ritchie McKay. Then we'll get to some of the good products out there on the shelves. and some of the ones that might be used, but we like the upside on. This is the Field of 68 After Dark on a Cyber Monday.
Are you a college basketball junkie? Are you the kind of fan that gets frustrated that this beautiful sport has such a lack of national coverage outside of the month of March? Well, let me tell you about the Field of 68, an all-encompassing digital network of podcasts, live streams, and newsletters that cover the sport at every level on every platform. From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, the only way to keep up with college basketball is through the Field of 68.
In the first Field of 68 tip-off, 3 of the preeminent mid-major programs in the country, 3 of the best coaches. November 30th, Liberty versus FAU. December 1st, Liberty versus Charleston. December 2nd, Charleston versus FAU.
3 up-and-coming programs come together in a very, very creative entity.
There's a reason we're called the Field of 68, right? We want to cover all of college basketball.
We are calling it the Field of 68 tip-off.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. John Fanta, Terrence Oglesby, Chris Mack, pleased to now be joined by the head coach of the Liberty Flames, who are off to a sensational start to the season, unbeaten on the year. Ritchie McKay joining us now on After Dark. And guess what, folks? You can see the Flames this week at the inaugural Field of 68 Invitational. Liberty taking on FAU. It's on Thursday, November the 30th. It's on ESPNU. Friday, December the 1st on Flow Hoops, Liberty will take on Pat Kelsey's Charleston team. And then December the 2nd, FAU taking on Charleston. All 3 games are at Florida Atlantic in Boca. Rob Doster, Jeff Goodman, Matt McCall will be doing pre- and post-game shows. Richie, it's great to have you with us. Congratulations on the start of the year. How excited are you to take your team down to Boca this week and participate in a high-level multi-team event, the Field of 68 Invitational?
Oh, John, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm even more excited knowing now that you have a black card and hoping that you'll share that with us when we're in Boca. Now, it's a privilege to be on with Coach Mack, T.O., you guys. I actually stay up often when I can't sleep, and prepping for the Owls will make it a really sleepless few nights prior to the game. But I think it's a great privilege for our team and a great opportunity to have a chance to play against both, in my mind, the 2 winningest basketball programs last year in the country, and 2 incredibly well-coached teams. So the fact that Field of 68 partnered with us to do this is, I think, is really neat for Liberty, Charleston, and FAU.
Go ahead,
Coach
Chris.
McKay, how you doing?
What's happening, Coach? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Tell me about the transition that your team's going to make here coming up from the ASUN to Conference USA, and maybe some of the challenges that presents as you go into it for the very first time.
Yeah, Coach, a lot of unknown. I don't have a great familiarity with those programs and the venues. I know the travel is it's catastrophic in terms of we have road games in Las Cruces and El Paso. So, but I do think one of the things we really try to do every year is try and make it as difficult on our guys as possible. You know what it's like in the non-conference. You really don't know what you don't know until you play somebody that can really expose where you're weak. And for all of us coaches, that we really want to address the things that we aren't, so that we'll have an opportunity to continue to improve and grow as the season wears on, especially once we get to conference conference regular season play and conference tournament time. So I think our guys are excited about being a part of Conference USA. I've been really impressed with the leadership, and I've taken a peek at some of the teams. I think it's a well-coached league that has a lot of talent, but the ASUN was well-coached too. So I think it is what it is until we start playing the game.
Coach, great to see you. I got to ask you, Darius McGee's gone. Last year, you had 2 guys in double figures. He was at 22 a game. The next guy was, I think, Bodie at 10. This year, it's been an adjustment. You guys have 4 guys in double figures. What's that adjustment been like? Because he one of the great scorers in college basketball over the last 4 years, and now you're doing it by committee. How has that kind of progressed? And I guess the guys should be pretty happy about that.
Yeah, Tio, he was a bucket now. Like, the dude was across half court, and he's in range. So, but he wasn't selfish. He was a phenomenal teammate. He left a great mark on our program, and we still benefit from his and some of the ones that have gone before him that helped us kind of get a sense of togetherness, confidence, and selflessness. So we miss Darius because, again, he's a go-to guy. You can put the ball in his hands without drawing up anything for him, and you're going to get a pretty good chance of getting 2 or 3 points. That being said, I think our guys, when I was with Coach Bennett at Virginia, one of the things that I realized the longer you stayed in that program, the better you got. It was a commitment to development and some of the habit building and formation. I think we've tried to take a little bit of page out of that book, and I think the guys that have returned, Kyle Rhodes having a great year. He's a fifth-year senior. He and Shiloh Robinson both came back for their COVID years. And then we have a diminutive backcourt. They're both 5'9", Colin Porter, Caden Matheny, both really good weapons for us. And off the bench, Brody Peebles. And we have a couple of guys in Joseph Van Sant and Xander Yates that also make a big difference when we have the ball on the offensive end.
Hey, Coach, how important is this for scheduling purposes? Because you guys have had a hard time scheduling some high major opponents, but you look at your schedule, Furman, Charlotte, Wichita State, Vermont, and now you have Florida Atlantic coming up. How difficult is that for you? And are you finding games that a lot of guys won't take at the high major level because this is a tough one?
Yeah, Tio, I think that's why that was the initiative to doing all this. It's almost impossible. It's an unintended consequence when you have a little bit of success as a mid, that none of the high majors will give you that opportunity. I looked at Florida Atlantic schedule. I think last year they played both Mississippi and I want to say Florida, and they went 1-2 in those. And the year before they only had 1 game against the high major. So, and Charleston, we know what Pat Kelsey has done there. So I think there was an inevitability that we had to do something that, by playing the really good mid-majors, that would at least give you an opportunity to test yourselves. And so we're loving the opportunity that we get a chance to play FAU. Although seriously, guys, if they didn't have that conference logo, or if it said SEC or ACC, you might have put them on your Cyber Monday. This team is legit. There is virtually no weakness on either end of the floor. I know they were a little banged up when they were in the tournament in Orlando, but man, what Dusty and his staff have done there is absolutely phenomenal. I legitimately think, and this isn't just coach speak because I was in the ACC for 6 years prior to coming back, like they're as good as I've seen. They're really complete. So, and then Charleston, they go into Kent last night and get a huge win on the road. We were in the same tournament in Myrtle. Pat's team is coming into form. So this will be a great weekend for us. We'll really be challenged.
Coach, it sure will be. It'll be an amazing weekend. I think when I think of the 3 programs that are in the tournament, I think the word culture, which gets thrown around a lot, really comes to mind. I mean, what you've done since you've been at Liberty, I know you're going to be humble, and I know you're going to, talk it down, but the way your teams defend, the way your teams win and consistently do it, going up against FAU was obviously in the Final Four a year ago, and then Pat's team was 31-4. You do an amazing job. I feel like the whole tournament's going to be about culture and the habits and the development that each one of the programs has. I guess my question to you is, what do you guys need to do as the season progresses in your mind to become a better team? Is there an area or areas that you really want to see some improvement over the next few weeks, next couple months?
Yeah, Coach, great question. Thank you. Coming from you, man, that means a lot. I am proud of the guys that wear our uniforms. They're great representatives of not only their families but of our university, and it's really neat to see them play with a joy and a deep sense of gratitude. And answering your question, like one of the guys I didn't mention earlier, Zach Cleveland, who's a sophomore from Normal, Illinois. He is such a unicorn because he brings so many different attributes to the table and on both ends. So I think just the blending of Zach's emergence, Caden transfer from Bowling Green, Xander from Creighton. So just the blending of those guys and the chemistry in which they play with. Again, we all see the offensive end of the floor, and we can deem a different team in its identity as unselfish. But I think there's a defensive unselfishness that you have to have too, in order to be really good or really complete on that end. And I think we're growing in that area. We're not there yet, but it is just November, and we're off to a decent start. So as the days wear on, I think that's got to be one of the areas that we improve upon.
Ritchie, before we let you go, I think for those who don't know this, Coach, you're at Liberty as the head coach from 2007 to 2009, and then you go be with Tony Bennett as his associate head coach. Then in 2015, you come back to Liberty, and you've led this program to 3 NCAA tournaments, multiple postseasons, and just consistent 20-plus win years, year in and year out. I want to know, one, the thing that maybe America doesn't fully know about Tony Bennett, and two, what advice you would give to somebody younger that's trying to coach.
Yeah, great question. The thing America doesn't know but would want to know about Tony, well, he doesn't have a black card. Now, Tone he is what you see on television. He's got a great sense of humility. He's incredibly competitive. I think probably one of the sneaky attributes that he possesses is he's good at any sport or anything that has to do with hand-eye coordination. Like the guy is unbelievable at ping pong, tennis, golf, and literally he can not play any of those for months at a time, come back and start hitting it and really beat you down. But I love my time there. That's those guys are family to us, and obviously root for them and follow their program very closely. In terms of what advice I'd give, and I think Coach Mack and I listened to Coach Boeheim last night. T.O., you've been around it a long time. You guys know. I think what's most important is to be yourself, to be an authentic version of who you are, and not be the imposter version of maybe what you want people to think or feel about you. Because I think we were all created for a reason, and it's never for just ourselves. So living in that true identity and I think seeing if you can't contribute or add value to someone else, I think it's not about the X's and O's and how much you know that, but it's about how you care for people and try and serve them and make their day better. I know it'll sound kind of corny, but I think it's a simple way to go about your everyday life.
All right, we got about 60 seconds here. I'm glad to hear that Tony Bennett does not have a black card. And again, folks, I do not either.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll ever be able to live that down, bro.
Yeah, I won't be able to. Before we let you go, I spend more time at McDonald's than I do at the Capitol Grill. Before we let you go, we got 50 seconds. Tony Bennett, okay, it's reported Tony Bennett is going to be in a pickleball tournament that is developing right now conceptually in Arizona at the Final Four. So it sounds like Bennett could come out and be a front runner in this. We got 30 seconds here. Coach McKay, can we get you to commit to the pickleball tournament at the Final Four?
Absolutely not.
He's already done enough for the field. He's coming out.
He's right.
He's already done enough.
All right, check out Liberty against FAU Thursday, 6 Eastern Time, ESPNU to kick off the Field of 68 Invitational. Ritchie McKay, thank you for the time.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners and the viewers on the Field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
And welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. John Fanta, Terrence Oglesby, Chris Mack with you. A reminder, the Field of 68 Invitational, it tips off this Thursday, November 30th, 6 Eastern Time, ESPNU with Liberty and FAU. Liberty and Charleston will play on Friday, and then FAU and Charleston on Saturday. That one also on ESPNU. Field of 68 Invitational. It's this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Matt McCall, Jeff Goodman, Rob Doster will have pregame, postgame coverage. Dagan Hughes is going down there as well. We will have you covered from that. All right, back to Cyber Monday game. Back to Cyber Monday deals. So we talked about the fancy teams with Purdue, Marquette, and I went on a limb a little bit, I guess, by taking Duke, by not taking a top 5 team. Now you get good teams on the shelf. So this is a team that, might not be considered one of the best teams in the country right now, but that's good and you think reliable. A nice, reliable gift for your loved one. Chris Mack, where'd you go on the shelf for this one? Who'd you pick?
Man, I got a couple. We've talked about one of them, obviously, in Kentucky. I just feel like anytime you're talking about younger teams, they should get better as the season goes on. Obviously they're going to play in a very challenging league. They're going to play some really good teams here coming up, obviously tomorrow night against Miami. But besides that, Aaron Bradshaw still hasn't suited up. Big Z, they've got 7-footers now that haven't even seen the floor for them. And I just can't stop thinking about the way they played against Kansas in a game they would have won had they been a little bit more experienced down the stretch. The other team, I'm probably going to steal Terrence's thunder here, is the Clemson Tigers. I just feel like, number one, they haven't really played anybody. So tomorrow night's going to be a really big test. They haven't necessarily played a top 25 type team. They haven't been, front and center on national television, any of these exempt events. But I really like the fact that P.J. Hall is healthy. I think Chase Hunter can be an NBA player. And watching Joe Girard, the couple of years he was at Syracuse, he just hit timely shots. I feel like Brad has him, in a system now where he can be even more effective than he was before as a junior. And then you look at the fact that Brad's teams really defend. And it's going to be interesting tomorrow night when they play Alabama. Not that Nate's teams don't, but it's a different style. They're wheeling and dealing, scoring 100 points, and it's not like Alabama's pressing and turning you over to get those 100 points. And I just don't see a team doing that to Clemson. Now, if Alabama does, then, again, a lot of times I'm the kiss of death. But I don't see that happening tomorrow night. So those would be the two teams that I would buy that might not be the shiny present or shiny toy that Purdue or Marquette would be right now.
Yeah, he did steal mine. I was going to go Clemson and be a homer for all the same reasons. PJ's had his first healthy offseason since he's been on campus. Joe Girard's been really good quickly. And to be honest with you, Mac, I didn't know how it would go defensively. And it hasn't gone all that bad. He's quicker than I think people realize. So he's fit in pretty well there. They got some other guys. Chauncey Wiggins, who's 6'9", 6'10", can step out and shoot. They're rangy. They're athletic. Shefflin's a guy that comes off the bench and gives them good minutes. But the reason I'm high on Clemson for the rest of the season is Chase Hunter. Big, powerful, 6'3", 6'4", 205, 210 pounds. He's one of the more underappreciated players in all of college basketball. He was at 14, 5, and 3 last season. This season, I don't have his numbers right in front of me. I'm assuming they're not that far off because he is an elite level athlete, big time body at the point guard spot. And he came up in big situations last season whenever the games came close. I'm a big fan of Chase Hunter's. I've been a fan for a long time. And when Alamir Dawes transferred to Seton Hall, it kind of opened up that point guard spot. And he's flourished being a more ball dominant guy. I'm a big fan of his. And I think Girard has been a pleasant surprise on the defensive end compared to what we thought he could be.
That's because he saved his legs his first couple of years at Syracuse. He just sort of bounced up and down in that 2-3 zone, so he's got a lot more energy than maybe he was expected to have.
A hell of a lot of point switching up on the top of that zone. That's what that was.
I was going to say, I have never heard Joe Girard get complimented for defense. I mean,
I didn't say he was a great defender. I said, hey, look, he's out there existing. He's out there existing just enough to where his defense can hold up just enough offense.
Okay, so Alabama, they got beat by Ohio State. They really struggled. And they come back and they beat Oregon. Feels like we're talking about college football playoff stuff because now you got Clemson. You've got all these football powerhouses that are playing in hoops for what it's worth. But let's talk Alabama. Mark Sears, Aaron Estrada, that backcourt duo, they combined for 49 points in the win over Oregon. Rylan Griffin had 17 in that game, but they still turned the ball over 16 times against Oregon. They have turned the ball over. It feels like Sears and Estrada are trying to get on the same page. We talk about this Alabama team, and Grant Nelson was such a home run from a transfer standpoint. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Terrence Oglesby. Who's going to win this game tomorrow night? Clemson or Alabama?
I'm not doing that. What I will do is I'd consider the under. I'd consider the under because I think Clemson will slow it down just enough. Last time they played at Holiday Hoops Giving in Atlanta a few years ago, Clemson won because they were able to slow down that tempo. That's when Herb Jones was on that team. Some of these other guys, some holdovers, some seniors for Clemson were on that team too. It's going to be a battle of tempo. Who's going to be able to control the tempo? Excellent.
That's amazing. All right, Mac, don't refuse to make a pick. Who's going to win this game? It's in Tuscaloosa.
Well, Crimson Tide fans will be happy to know that I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers, which means it's a sure bet that the Alabama Crimson Tide will end up winning. But I feel like a little bit of what you talked about. Alabama's a little too loose for me right now. They're wheeling and dealing, and part of them being so aggressive is going to result in some of those turnovers. Their guards are extremely aggressive. If you look at their scores, I mean, they're the first 3 games out of the chute, they scored 100 points. Even when they're losing, they're scoring 88 and 86. So it's that's not going to happen tomorrow night. And if it does, then Nate needs to bottle it up and sell it around the country because there's so many teams that struggle to score at the college level. And right now his team isn't one of them. But I think they're going to play a different animal in Clemson tomorrow night. And I feel like Clemson's not being talked about. And probably rightfully so because, again, they haven't necessarily played in a Maui, in the Bahamas, anything that would maybe raise some eyebrows. So we'll see tomorrow night. I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers.
And because of that, because it's your first taste, now they've got experience, Clemson does. And I like this Clemson team. I think they could be a second weekend NCAA tournament team. But you do sometimes have to go through a first taste of reality. Alabama hands them a first taste tomorrow. Alabama finds a way to win this game. I will go opposite of both of you, and we will text tomorrow night, and one of us is going to be wrong. And don't worry, Terrence, I'll keep the if it doesn't go the Tigers' way, I'm not going to wipe
Terrence
it in your face.
is already correct. Terrence is already right.
Didn't make a pick.
You're welcome, world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, still won't make a pick. Thank you, Trevor, please. I guess while we're at it, because we're playing our Cyber Monday game too, and I want to get back to that in a moment. But we got to do this right now on the show. Kentucky and Miami. Let's make a pick. I want to hear you guys' picks. I want to hear what you think. I mean, the fact of the matter is this, Mac. You just said it. Kentucky showed that they're capable of it. Now, shot economizing is important to me, and what I mean by that is, like, I like Antonio Reeves, but I think this team's at their best when Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepherd are in a rhythm. DJ Wagner showed some good strides. You're right on the post play, but the fact is, like, it feels like Chris Mack that for Kentucky, tomorrow night's a perfect opportunity for them to make a statement. Miami, they're not gonna defend a hell of a lot against Kentucky. It's gonna be a up and down scoring matchup. It's gonna be an offensively oriented game. Does tomorrow feel like that night where Kentucky needs to move the needle? And who do you think is gonna win this game?
I don't know if they need to move the needle. It'd be big for them. It'd be big for their confidence. It'd be big for their resume. I think that the Miami Hurricanes, they saw that game. You know, that's going to put them on alert a little bit. They saw the same game that we did, where they had Kansas down 17. So those veterans aren't going to come in here thinking, hey, these are young guys that aren't ready to step on this stage. I think they know who they're playing. You know, when I decided to sort of buy Kentucky, I did so knowing that you're supposed to buy low, you're right, and sell high. And so I don't think that just taking them as one of my better teams means that they're going to win tomorrow night. I just think over the long season, they're going to be really good. Man, it's a coin flip for me. I guess I'll flip it and keep the Big Blue Nation happy with the old Louisville coach, and I'll go with the Kentucky Wildcats.
He's taking Big Blue Nation.
Which means congratulations to Coach Larinaga on the win at UK. That's just so you know.
Hey, I'm going Miami.
That's why I don't want to bet college basketball ever.
Boy, Oglesby's going against Big Blue Nation. Tell us why.
Hey, look, I like DJ Wagner a lot. I think he's talented. I think he's still figuring it out. I feel like Miami's already figured it out. That's kind of where the difference is for me. I think Nigel Pack, he knows exactly what he is and exactly what he's good at. I think Norched Omir is awesome, undersized, awesome. I think he's going to give Trey Mitchell fits. The thing about him is he can guard out on the perimeter. I love what Cal's doing with their offense. They're pulling that 5 men out. Problem is, when you play against Miami, Norched can guard out there. I think that's an issue for them. And then Wooga Poplar, not talking about him enough. I think he's really good, and he's going to continue to get better. He's kind of stepped into a little bit of a role where Wong was. He's shooting almost 60% from three. He's really good. So I'm going Miami, and I think Clemson's going to slow the tempo down just enough to win in Tuscaloosa. There's 2 picks. There's 2 picks, Fanta. Yeah. 2 picks. Where's my ticker? Where's my ticker? I need that. Where's it down there? Oglesby picks Clemson and Miami. ACC heavy.
Made a pick.
Made a pick. Right.
Well played, Trevor.
Man, I am hung up on this game tomorrow night. I really think that this is going to be a great game. I'm going with Kentucky. Yeah,
Ooh.
Big Blue Nation. You've thought for so long that I hate you. I don't hate you. I don't hate you at all. I'm waiting for you to prove it on the big stage. Tomorrow night you will have all our eyeballs. You showed it against Kansas. Now finish. You're at home. You got that crowd. You got to guard Wooga Poplar, and you've got to guard Matthew Cleveland. Antonio Reeves, don't take too many shots, but you're shooting 45% from the floor from 3. Rob Dillingham shooting 50% from 3. DJ Wagner, stay under control, and Reed Shepherd, give me something. Don't have a disappearing act. And Adu Thero, hold up. Hold up against Norched Omir. Kentucky finds a way tomorrow night and makes a statement. After this, national title Final Four bust. This is the Field of 68 After Dark.
Are you a college basketball junkie? Are you the kind of fan that gets frustrated that this beautiful sport has such a lack of national coverage outside of the month of March? Well, let me tell you about the Field of 68, an all-encompassing digital network of podcasts, live streams, and newsletters that cover the sport at every level on every platform. From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, the only way to keep up with college basketball is through the Field of 68.
In the first Field of 68 tip-off, 3 of the preeminent mid-major programs in the country, 3 of the best coaches. November 30th, Liberty versus FAU. December 1st, Liberty versus Charleston. December 2nd, Charleston versus FAU.
3 up-and-coming programs come together in a very, very creative entity.
There's a reason we're called the Field of 68, right? We want to cover all of college basketball.
We are calling it the Field of 68 tip-off.
All right, here we go. Field of 68 After Dark, back on a Monday night with you, John Fanta, Terrence Oglesby, Chris Mack. We have breaking news. Hit the lower third, Trevor. Chris Mack will be in Boca Raton for the Field of 68 Invitational. How about that? Mack is owed 3 to 5 meals by Jeff Goodman, if not land sharks or Coronas or something else.
I'll take those.
So you're off to Boca.
I'm off to Boca. It's only about a 3-hour drive on 75 for me. So, I'll go from one beach to the other.
So,
There you go.
so
they haven't been sending you your Applebee's gift cards?
I haven't received them.
You're holding out on you?
I'm actually headed down there to rough up Goodman for the Applebee's gift cards he still owes me.
There you go.
Okay, so will you wear sunscreen?
I mean, are the games outdoors? I mean, like, the hell do I need to wear sunscreen for?
I know, because it looks like you go outside during the day, don't you? You're down in Florida.
Yeah, go outside.
Because Terrence and I don't wear it.
You know what I mean? A little bit of a tan. See?
You're right.
See that watch tan?
Yeah. Yes,
If I
we
can
do.
find it.
That's,
There you go. See?
that's
I'm actually
right.
whiter than this, you know?
You're right. Exactly. All right, let's play this game here. Title, Final Four, or upset. So I'm going to give you 3 teams, and you're going to take one that you believe can win the title. Now, this game's tough. One that you believe in terms of Final Four, and one that you could see being upset in the NCAA tournament. Again, this game's tough. And by the way, we'll get back to Cyber Monday in last call. I want to get your used teams, the used product teams, or if we have time, we'll get to them. But we want to get this game in our 11 o'clock hour. Okay? Title, Final Four upset, Terrence Oglesby. Now, this is hard. Purdue, Marquette, and Arizona.
You know what's crazy about that is that you're basically picking 2 Final Four teams in a team that'll get beat early. People forgot that Arizona got beat by Princeton in the first round. It seemed to be drowned out. Like, Purdue's not the only team, or Arizona got beat by Princeton. Like, Purdue's not the only team with a massive mess up. So Arizona had it last year. Marquette, I just feel like they can score so well and they're so rangy. If I had to pick one to not make the Final Four, I feel like it's Matt Painter's year to get there finally. It's Matt Painter's year They added a great piece with Lance Jones from Southern Illinois. I think he adds some burst, some quickness to them. I think they're going to be fine. If I had to pick one team to win a national championship, though, I'd have to go Purdue right now, Final Four Marquette, and then Arizona might get beat just because of the erratic play of one Caleb Love. He can shoot you in and keep you in, but he can also shoot you out. We've seen examples of both over the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the bald connection, but like every talking point that I had for Purdue, Marquette, and Arizona was the exact same, punctuated by Caleb Love, although I wasn't going to bring his name up because I don't want to disparage individual players because he's extremely talented. Not that Terrence was disparaging him, but said shoot him out of the tournament. Wow. Hey, why don't I just flip it? I'm going to say Marquette's going to win the title. I'm going to say Arizona's to the Final Four, and I'm going to say Purdue's upset just so I can piss them off even more and they can have a bigger chip on their shoulder and win the whole thing. I feel like Purdue is playing as well as anybody in the country. I don't see that changing, but I'm going to try to give them a little bit more ammunition for the fight. But I don't really feel that strongly about what I just said.
I don't either. I mean, I think Purdue Final Four. Arizona could get upset because of just some frenetic nature to how they're going to play if those guards have an off shooting day. Although I think Keshad Johnson has been invaluable to them. And then Marquette's my title team. I know that they lost to Purdue, but I just think Marquette, this is crazy to say, they didn't even play their best basketball at Maui. They didn't, and they still beat Kansas by double figures. Tyler Kolek had more turnovers than field goals made in the game against Kansas. Marquette could still play better. By the way, Joe Ireland said in the YouTube chat, I used to like Marquette, but man, Shaka running on the court after getting trash talk was bad. Joe, take your take and shove it up your behind. He's allowed to go on the floor and speak for his team, picking up for his team, Joe. That's about the worst take I've ever heard. Go to bed. Let's move on here.
That's the way to really rally your customer base.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your viewership. Now get the hell off the program.
Right. It's a YouTube view for us. Okay.
Leave Fanta alone. He's got a black card.
Title Final.
You just smacked whoever that was in the face with your black card.
Title Final Four upset. Okay. Title Final Four upset. Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky.
I'll let you go first this time, Matt, because I took your spot last time.
I'm gonna go in reverse order and say that Carolina is going to be upset. I still I think they're better than they were a year ago. I think Baycott's a load. I like their guards. I just don't know if, in comparison to both Kentucky and Carolina, if they're there. In my opinion, I think that between those two, I would probably say Duke for the national championship, and I would say Kentucky to a Final Four if I had to pick. I don't know if any of those teams will honestly be in the Final Four, but that's sort of my flavor on things.
Yeah.
I think I'm just for the sake of being contrarian. I agree with those things. I think North Carolina can struggle at times, and I thought it was telling at the Battle for Atlantis that they were waving out Armando Baycott so Harrison Ingram could post up. That tells me something like, do you not think Baycott can score? Is the faith just not there for him to make a decision if they send a second guy? They are more balanced scoring this year. I see that as a positive. I think R.J. Davis, as being the main guy, has really accentuated his game. He's been good. I think Elliot Cadeau being willing to give the ball up changes that offense a lot. I think Carolina could make a Final Four. I think they have the pieces. So for the sake of being contrarian, I'm going to go there. And then I'm going to go the team that could be upset. Oh, man. Who knows what Matt Jones would say, but Kentucky, just because of the youth. It scares me a little bit. You can be erratic. But it's one of those things where they're younger than everybody. And if they don't get those 7-footers back, then it could be tough if they play one of these massive teams in the first, 2 rounds of the tournament. So let me say this: I'll go Carolina Final Four, Duke national champion, and then Kentucky could get upset.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm going to say Duke title. I'm going to go, I guess, Carolina Final Four and Kentucky upset. Look, Aaron Bradshaw, I mean, all signs are pointing to him playing, but can he live up to the hype? Can he step in and transition well? And then Zvonimir Ivicic, I mean, that situation is obviously murky and has been for a while, but you would think they're going to have these guys, at least one of them, producing. And if they do, this team's going to be really dangerous. So Kentucky, again, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong tomorrow night. You got to move the needle and win. Before we get back to this game, let's talk about Vaulted. It's time to talk about Vaulted. Vaulted is an app that allows you to participate in daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. It's the place to store your own bold predictions forever. And by using the Vaulted Challenge feature, you can prove you're smarter than your friends. So go download the Vaulted, VLTED app and give it a try for free. Vaulted is spelled VLTED, and it is the app to challenge your friends, store your predictions, and join daily cash prize pools without any entry fee. Download Vaulted today. And Rob Dauster has put it in the app. I challenge you guys. Yeah, I'm going contrarian here. Arkansas will win the game Wednesday night against Duke in Fayetteville. We don't know Tremont Mark's status. We're just glad he's doing better. Arkansas comes back to Fayetteville after not playing well in Atlantis, but they put a motivated performance together. Bud Walton's going to be shaking. Do you guys accept the challenge?
Yeah, I'll challenge that. I think Duke will go in there and win.
Yeah, I will too. I mean, is there a possibility of him playing?
It's very unlikely, but they didn't give anything official today.
That dude had like 32 in the last game, right?
Like 16 shots.
Hey, sometimes in this sport, stuff doesn't make sense. Stuff doesn't make sense.
That's a problem.
We got 1 minute.
They already lost to Greensboro at home.
We got 1 minute left. Let's do one more for 15. We won't do it. We'll do it on last call. Last call's next on Stadium. So get to last call. But while I've got 30 seconds, T.O., you literally just had to tell me. We got 45 seconds. Tennessee, North Carolina. This game is on Wednesday in Chapel Hill. T.O., who's going to win?
I think Tennessee wins in Chapel Hill, and a couple of guys might need crutches to get out of that building after playing a Rick Barnes coach team.
Mac.
Man, what a physical team in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But, as much as I was sort of being a naysayer on Carolina in comparison to Duke and Kentucky, I'm going to go with the Tar Heels at home.
There it is.
Tennessee
I like Tennessee to bounce back. For T.O., for Chris Mack, I'm John Fanta. This has been the Field of 68 After Dark.